I've got you in the palm of my brain. Hello and fancy farewell. From the rumbelows of no last panic arises the Manitou. Evil does not die. It waits to be reborn. The Manitou is a movie based on a book written by Masterton, which was a series of books by Masterton, starting with The Manitou, followed by Revenge of the Manitou, followed by Burial, followed by Blood of the Manitou, followed by most recently Blind Panic, a series of books about a chap called Harry Erskine who's a card reader. He can read the tarot cards, or at least pretends to, and that kind of thing. Pretends he's a mystic when really he's only slightly mystic. But he keeps running into trouble with this evil spirit called Maquamacus. Maquamacus occurs in his life so far 5 times and keeps trying to destroy the world. That's the history of the Manitou books, and this is the first of the stories, simply called The Manitou, made into film. This differs from the book in that this is set in San Francisco for some reason instead of New York, but it's still a fairly good story and it stays very close to the story of the book. In this story, a lady starts to have a growth on her body. It grows and grows and grows until we find out that the spirit of the evil Indian witch doctor Maquamacus is growing on her back, and it's going to be reborn into this world to wreak destruction on the Western civilization that had destroyed the world that he grew up in the Wild West, back when the wilderlands belonged to the Indian men. So in the film, he grows out of this lady's back in the hospital. Then he unleashes his powers on the people in the building, and he tries to raise the great old ones, the ancient Indian spirits who reside in some kind of astral plane. He tries to bring them back to help to destroy America and to take it back to how it was, to kill all of the recent Americans, and so that the only people living in the USA would be the Indians and their sacred spirit folk. Anyhow, Harry Erskine comes along, and he helps save the lady, and he helps to defeat Maquamacus for the first time, just like in the book. But unfortunately, this is the only one that was turned into a film. It's a pretty good horror film. It's age 15, which means that there isn't very much gore, there's not really much nudity, and there's not much swearing in it, but it is a horror film nonetheless. It's a decent horror film. I'd give this a solid nearly 2 out of 2. What that means is, if it was a better day of the week, I'd give it a 2 out of 2. But today, looking at it kind of fairly and unadjusted, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 2. And how do I know? Well, I've seen plenty of horror films now. In my time, I've seen 12, 13, 14 horror films in my time, and I've read a fair through of these books. I know I really am the one to judge. I'm going to give this 1 out of 2 and recommend it. I'd recommend The Manitou. Check it out. It's a decent horror film, and it's one of the horror films in the world, because I'm currently reviewing every single one. So of course this had to be in there. I'd recommend The Manitou, and I'd also recommend any book by Masterton. It's a decent story. It's also a unique story in the annals of horror history. Yeah, read it and watch it and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it stars Tony Curtis, Michael Ansara. He was in some old Star Trek episode, yeah, and it also stars Burgess Meredith. Yeah, check it out. Bye.